everyone.
Hi.
Hey, we're here. New session, new topic here at
Mm,
Faith Conversations here at Vision City Church.
yes.
We are glad to be back. Another riveting conversation.
Riveting.
Don't do it alone. Don't do it
Mm,
alone. An important conversation regarding community. It is important
mm,
that you are in community, and we want to take the next 3 weeks to talk about why it's important,
mhm,
some of the challenges with community. I know your church is going to be loving you joining this conversation, especially if they have life groups,
yes.
because they want you to get involved. And it's very important to do so. But
Mhm,
before we get into it, I want Jalima to talk about the importance of
mm,
community because, she was a life group pastor. And
mm.
so really,
Didn't
really
know
had to
that.
challenge people to be in community and why it's important to be in community. And she challenges me every day. So I'm gonna have Jalima talk about real quick about the importance of community.
So, as Eric said, I was a small group pastor, fresh out of seminary, actually. It
Mhm.
was my graduating project. But anyway, um, in the beginning, when God created the earth, one of the first things he did was um, he created woman from the rib of Adam. And we know that story. And it's always specifically focused on marriage. However, it's important to note that the main part of that was building community.
Mhm.
God saw that it wasn't good for man to be alone. And community looks a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the things that I've learned over the years is when we're by ourselves, we are vulnerable. We are
Mhm.
more vulnerable to all types of attacks, mental attacks, physical attacks. Like imagine you're out there, let's say you're going for a walk and all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of people are just trying to attack you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
If you have people with you, they have your back, you're most
Mhm.
likely to be protected.
Yeah.
That's just one example. But when God created us, He created us to do life together. So
Mhm.
that sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, friends, your homie down the street. Um, we were all created to do it together, to have that community, that connection, the communication, because it protects you. It puts you it strengthens you when you have people with you. There's
Mhm.
power in numbers.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the more basic, important aspects of why we're not supposed to do this alone.
Yeah. And so I just want to pull out some scripture because of what
Mhm.
you said. Proverbs 27:17. It
Mhm.
says, as iron sharpens iron,
Mhm.
so one person sharpens another.
Mhm.
Again, speaking to the importance of community and being with someone, but
Mhm.
also it talks about uh, this actually alludes to the type of community that you're going to
Ah,
be a part of. So that's why I said your pastors are going to love me if you have life groups
mhm.
because yeah, we encourage you to join a life group
Yes.
and to do that. And we're going to talk about that too because that can be challenging. And then
Mhm.
there was another scripture I wanted to bring out as well, and this is Hebrews 10 verse 25. um we say this all the time, let us not forsake the assembling of ourselves, but I'm gonna use this translation. Let us not give up meeting together
Mhm.
as some are in the habit of doing. Some are in the
Hmm.
habit of, oh, I don't need to meet, I don't need that type of community, I
Wow.
don't need someone to sharpen me,
Hmm.
because I want to do it by myself. I want to
Dangerous.
be by myself.
Hmm.
um I have friends, but they better not challenge me. They better not correct me if I'm wrong, or
Mm.
they're quick to no, no, I don't
Mm.
want that. So this is a really a different type of community.
Yeah.
Iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
But he said, "Let us not give up." And he's talking to the church, um, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching, but let us encourage one another. It's an
Wow.
encouragement. So we're just not, if you're in a faith community or you have a group of people that, even if it's not a faith community, your friends or whatever, and if they are, see how we say we real conversations about faith, right? We
Mhm.
always think he has to be a Christian. No, if you have a friend, they may not be a Christian,
Mm.
but they are a true friend. I just messed with somebody. They are a true friend and they're correcting you, they respect your
Mm.
faith, and that you do something crazy. Why are you doing that? No, you're not supposed to be doing that, bro.
Mm.
You a Christian. Like, I respect you. You ain't respecting yourself right now.
Come on, who want to call you out?
Call you out for not being who you are. That's a friend.
Yep.
That's a true friend. That's someone holding you accountable, and you be like, "Yo, you're not even rolling with God like that," and you correcting me because that's a friend.
True.
That's the healthy community
Mhm.
that we're talking about. But you cannot do that. So tonight we really want to talk about those challenges, of why we don't engage in community,
Mm.
and the it can bring on loneliness,
True.
isolation. And so let's talk about that. Why
Mm.
do we want to do community alone?
I think it's doing community alone.
Well,
It's
not doing doing life alone.
doing
I'm
life
saying
alone. I was like,
can't
wait a
do
minute.
community.
After I said that, I was like, wait,
You said I said it, but you repeated it and I heard it. No, doing life alone.
why do we want to do life alone? It's our tactic to keep ourselves safe.
Mhm.
It's more comfortable.
Yeah,
Um, some of us rely on I'm an introvert,
yeah,
or
that's me.
um, that's just how I am. And I learned this several years ago. So we have introverts, we have extroverts. That's your personality type. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that's how you're supposed to do life.
Mhm.
So that just means I'm an introvert. Well, Eric's an
I
introvert,
am.
and that's how he recharges. So he can go out, he can function, he can mingle, he can do things, but he has to have that time to recharge because his personality needs that alone time to be able to do life. It's not an excuse to never connect
Yeah,
or do community. And just like being an extrovert, it's because you're out there living your life, doing it, meeting all types of people, being the life of the party.
mhm,
Um, are you building community? Like, are you building
yeah,
relationships? That is the difference between the whole introvert,
yeah,
extrovert, and how they choose to do life and how they recharge. And
yeah, yeah, and I'm guilty of that, or was guilty of that, because I was an introvert, and I am, well, and I'm an introvert.
you're not as
Um,
introvertish.
yeah, I've learned how to, because this was my thing. I didn't want to do community,
Mhm.
because I did not, for a lot of reasons. I didn't want people in, and I didn't want people in my
Mm.
business and all of that. But
Yeah.
I was like, I'm an introvert. I don't need nobody. I can do it by myself. But what I found is that, isolation is not good.
Mm.
And what I discovered is that in isolation, everything else is louder, and
True.
everything else is not always good. And so if whatever I'm struggling with becomes louder, if I'm struggling with an
Mhm.
addiction or a habit that I'm trying to break, me being isolated, that speaks louder because that's all I'm
True.
hearing. I'm not in community. I'm not having anyone challenge me, or I'm just not in a place to have anything else in my ear.
True.
You may not want to be in community, and I ain't trying to share all my personal business. You don't have to.
You really
But
don't.
being in that space, and when I say you don't have to, I mean you don't have to do it right away or
Mhm.
do it to a group. While you're building community, you may find someone that you can share and confide in, and you build relationships. Sometimes building relationships is a process, right?
It's
But I'm saying just
Mhm.
being in that atmosphere and sharing
Mhm.
little bit by little, or just hearing other people's stories, it builds you up, and it begins to silence out that
That's
other
good.
noise. Okay.
Mhm.
And so, because that was me, I just had to, when I was trying to break out of my, and I'm not 100% there because I still got some of old Eric in me. You know, you got to kill that flesh, you know, daily. And so, but I had to say, okay, I had to put myself in the environment.
Yeah.
I had to start putting myself in the environment. So before I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't talk. I'll be a group. I'm by myself. You okay? I'm cool. Y'all go mingle. I'm gonna sit here and sip on my juice, and y'all go have fun. I'm having fun with me, myself, and now we good, right? Until, until I learned, people who know me, y'all probably are laughing like, "That's you. That was you." Those who know me. If you say, "Yeah, that was Eric," but now I can mingle. I can be in a
Yes.
position. I can talk. And you'll never know that that
Yeah.
was me.
It's it's actually funny because we've kind of switched to a degree.
Yeah,
Um, I was always the extrovert,
social butterfly.
social butterfly, literally. And now I am, but I definitely need my
She's
recharge.
still.
I'm still an extrovert, but I definitely am way more aware of my need to recharge alone. So that also goes to speak to the need for community never changes, but
Mm,
how you experience might pivot a bit.
mm,
You still make those connections, you still get out there, you still do life together, but it might look different as you
yeah.
mature and grow.
That's true. Um, so let's back up a little bit,
Mhm.
because let's talk about the, and we'll end on this topic, just the danger of the
Yes.
isolation, the danger of what that can bring. What can
Mm,
isolation bring? Because we don't want you to feel as though you don't need this type of community, that
mm,
iron sharpening iron, that or you forsaking the assembly or the coming together
mm,
with people who can challenge you. Yes, you're going
mm.
to have those friends, but I'm going to say, if you are a Christian, you need to be a part of a faith community,
Yes.
because this world is crazy. The world is crazy. It's crazy.
The
So what are some of the dangers of that isolation?
the biggest danger is one, we tend to underestimate that we are dealing with a very real devil,
Yeah,
a very real um power that wants you destroyed. And what better way to destroy you than when you're alone?
yeah,
And when when you're by yourself and you're alone, you're isolated, you're experiencing those loneliness, your mind is very loud. And and when you're isolated by yourself, no one sharpening you, no one pushing you, no one encouraging you. How can you break out
mhm,
of those times? And I'm not underestimating the power of God at all.
yeah, yeah,
I am just saying what is what it is. God created community to rescue us from it. And
mhm,
one of the aspects of it is to rescue us from those times. You're by yourself, your mind can take you down a very
yeah,
dark place, and you don't want to do that by yourself. It's just
yeah,
not safe.
yeah. At the isolation, it breeds. It's like the breeding ground for depression,
Yes.
loneliness. It is the breeding
Mm,
ground for that, because all those other negative voices are loud.
true.
You're right. We have a real enemy, and we cannot live this life ignoring the enemy, that there is a real enemy out there to pull us away.
Yes.
Have your theological arguments about who Satan is, whatever. There is a force out there. There is someone, whatever you want to call it, that is anti God
That's good.
and anti the way you should go, and he will use she, whatever pronouns you want to throw out there, whatever, the enemy of your soul who
Mhm.
wants to pull you away from that. And
Yeah.
we have to fight isolation. And if you're in protective mode,
Mm,
isolation is going to feel real good.
it really is.
Isolation is going to feel real good, because that was
Mhm.
me when I was in protection mode. Isolation feels real good. The scary thing is community, but that is the
Mm,
trick of the enemy. That is
yes.
the trick of the enemy. you will go down deeper into loneliness. You will go
Yes.
down deeper in depression. And you wonder why you can't bounce back is because the enemy has allowed you to live life in a state of loneliness. I'm not saying you don't have any friends. I'm not saying that,
Mhm.
but do you have a community of people where someone is sharpening you in doing that? And and for people like me, and you may be like me, if you have an issue
Mhm.
with trusting people, and we're going to get on this on next week and all of that, and it's going to take a while for you to be comfortable. But what
Yes.
I do, I make, and I said before, I make myself uh, go into those types of communities. I may get a
Mhm.
little nudge from my wife to remind me,
A big
no, no,
nudge.
you need to do this, and I don't fight it because I know, like I know, but because my mind, in certain situations, my mind is not going to automatically think to do
Yeah.
that. I'm much better than what I am, but listen, it's a process, and I'm sharing this because it's a process. So my
Mhm.
mind may not automatically jump there that, oh yeah, oh, this is part of that community that I need. Oh, okay, let me go. Or let me do this.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm still I do it in other areas sometimes,
Yeah.
but I need to always that good reminder. Thank you, wife, to to make sure I do it on all fronts. Okay. So next week we're going to talk about some of those reasons why people don't do community, and maybe you'll
Mm.
find yourself in one of those, and hopefully that conversation can help you.
Yes. And honestly, my this week, I want you to definitely be intentional about noticing, are you pulling away? Are you
Mhm,
trying to isolate? Are you feeling lonely? Are you disconnected? Are you
mhm,
in community? Ask yourself those questions. Do a self
mhm,
evaluation to see what you need to do to get yourself in a healthy community.
mhm,
That's key. A healthy community that can help build you and that you can pour into. It's
mhm.
the both and you're receiving and you're able to return.
Yeah.
So get in community, please. God.
Yeah. All right. Next week we're going to continue this conversation. Part two. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.